It's Thursday, March the 16th, and it is time for the Scandalous Scandal recap. This is season 6, episode 6 on the 16th. It's almost like 666. It's kind of evil, isn't it, Janiyah?
Yeah, I will tell you
Eesh.
this week was evil. LBJ, I can't believe it's Thursday. I can't believe it's the middle of March. Time is flying. That's all
Time
I
is
have to
flying. But let
say.
me tell you what flew tonight was tonight's episode, and it
So
was
good.
epic. It was so
Oh,
epic. Thank you all so much for tuning in to tonight's live recap of the Scandal. We're very happy that you're here. Shout out to everybody that's already in the live chat. We've got Kat Harlem, Miss Creo Davis,
hey,
Miss Nyrule. You're new. Hey, what's up? How are you? Stephanie Beard is here.
Carol.
And FYI, I was not changing a diaper, everyone, before we went on live. Okay,
Sure
we
you
came in
were.
live late about 2 minutes. So no, we're like 3 minutes late. So just FYI, Marvis to Marvis. Hey, what's up? Grace, virtuosity. Hey to you too. We're glad we're live. We're here.
Yes.
And tonight's episode was called Extinction. Extinction was the title of tonight's episode. And as you all know, I am an avid lover of Eli, Rowan, Papa, Power, Pope, and tonight delivered everything that I could have imagined it could have delivered for this character. We got to see what happened 53 days prior to the election, up to election night, then to present day on Scandal tonight. Janiyah, what were your thoughts overall for this episode?
LBJ, overall, I will just say, once again, Shonda delivered. I said it last week, but it bears repeating. LBJ, I just didn't know how this show was going to go on. I couldn't, in my own, feeble mind, understand how there could be another way for us to find this set of characters interesting in a continued way. And Shonda has blown our minds. She's thrown in a whole other layer here. Last week and this week, LBJ, she has taken it to a new level, and I am loving it.
I'm loving it too. And I was trying to put a sound effect in, but evidently my board isn't working today because I was going to ring the doorbell and be someone from Shondaland delivering another hot episode of Scandal to you. That's how tonight's episode was.
Oh, I hate that it didn't work out because you just telling us what you were about to do wasn't super great. But anyway, but thank you for your efforts.
Whatever. So listen, as you all know, we use the hashtag Scandal Recap if you're on Twitter. If you're watching after the live broadcast, sorry you missed us live, but you can leave a comment under the video. We will respond to your comments after the show goes off throughout the week, and then we'll come back again and talk about it the following week. Now, what did you all think about tonight's episode? Some of you are already making your comments in the conversation. But
chat is funny tonight.
It is so funny. Let me tell you, the one that
this chat is already good.
This epic one right here, though, was from Mrs. Creo Davis, and Mrs. Creo Davis says, his Dino Boo, Sandra. That's where I want to start it tonight. I wanted to get started tonight talking about his Dino Boo, Sandra. We got to see a tender side of Rowan Pope tonight. Now, Eli, first of all, I'll call him Eli Pope. We got to see this tender side of him by him reconnecting these days before the election with his boo from grad school. I mean, and his boo from grad school was named Sandra. She was a paleontologist. We will refer to her in the past tense because Sandra is muerto. She is no more. She is dead. She is no longer with us.
She is no longer with us.
And we got to see how Sandra really tugged at the heartstrings of Rowan, so much so that Eli actually had photographs.
LBJ, we should call her Sandra TT, like Nefertiti, because he had her wrapped up like a mummy.
Sandra TT.
I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm
Sandra
so
TT.
tired. That is hilarious to me right now. I'm sorry.
Wait, did someone say that in the chat? Sandra TT?
No, I just made up with I don't know. It's not good. Never mind. Please move on.
No, I like Sandra TT. So Queen Sandra Titi came into Rowan's life, giving a lecture at one of the
Yeah.
campuses in Washington, D.C. Rowan shows
Mm-hmm.
up for said lecture. He's there, and he's just like, "Oh, baby, you still
She
got it."
invited him. She
She invited
invited
him.
him,
Yeah, she
LBJ.
invited him to the lecture. He
Mm-hmm.
goes there like, "Oh, baby, you still got it." She takes him to this fantastic office at the Smithsonian where he can go and work on those blocks and those bones. And he's just loving it, loving it, loving it. All of a sudden, he's like, "Wait a minute, these mofo's are watching me. These
Yep.
people have cameras in the walls, their microphones. This entire place is bugged.
Mm-hmm.
What has Sandra done to get me here? And what did he do to go and woo Sandra? He knew what Sandra liked. Why?
Mm-hmm.
It was a page right out of Homeboy's book and the Best Man. It was almost a sweet forehead kiss. He went to his daughter's apartment and got that Marvin Gaye album and said, "Olivia, I need a record." She's like, "Dad, what do you want?" I need Marvin Gaye." And so she goes to look for the Marvin Gaye album. While he's there, he's like, "Something's going on because my old boo, Sandra Nefertiti, is in here. She's brought me here, but there's bugs in here. I know Sandra Nefertiti is not like that because she's into the pyramids. She's into being mummified. She's also into dinosaur bones. And I need to figure out what's going on." So he's snooping around Olivia's apartment looking for bugs. And then she gets the Marvin Gaye album. He goes and starts whining and dining Sandra Nefertiti. Hello.
Hi, it's Fact Checker Fran.
Hey, Fact Checker Fran, how are you?
I'm doing great, LBJ.
What did I muff up?
Quick fact check for you. It's not true that Eli Rowan Pope trusted Sandra TT. He had her background checked quite thoroughly.
He did.
That's it. Bye.
Thanks, Fact Checker Fran. I just want to say that he trusted her to a point because he knew that she was not that savvy.
He trusted her after that background check.
Exactly. Of course. I mean, this is somebody from grad school, but I mean, what I liked about his relationship with Sandra Nefertiti is that she referred to him as Eli, which led me to believe that this man's real name is Eli. We call him Rowan, but she knows him as Eli. And to me, if he was in graduate school, he wasn't dilly and dallying in darkness like he is with B613, 14, and 15. This is all pre Papa Pope, power is in command, right? So we go through all of this rigmarole with his relationship with Sandra. This man's pulling out old scrapbook photos out of shoeboxes from grad school. We see a young them looking like they're on a dinosaur dig at the science center. They're going on. They took this pilgrimage to some far off land, some far off desert to go brushing off dinosaur bones. And we see that this man really had a heart for this woman, and he wanted her to be safe. And these people being the folks, number one, Devil in the Red Dress from last week.
Devil in the Red Dress.
We remember Devil in the Red Dress from last week. And then there's who I will call Man with Gun. And then there's Man in Chair. Okay? And so
LBJ, the Man with Gun is named Theodore Pierce.
I like to call Theodore Pierce Man with Gun.
Man with Gun.
Man with gun. Then there's Man with Chair. So man in chair.
So and that's all he was. That's all he was. He was the man in the chair, and he was nothing else.
Like I feel like if I was in the writer's room, I would say we'll call him Man in Chair. We need to give him a name, Man in Chair.
That's what his IMDb page says right now. Scandal, Man in Chair.
But let me tell you something. But take off from that scene there, because that scene was pretty pivotal, because we got to see some things unfold for the future of the episode there, right?
It's so true, LBJ. It's so true. I mean, last week we got this sneak peek into this dynamic. All we knew was that there was some group, some entity, some we who somehow was pulling the strings related to Papa Pope. The only face we had to go with it was the Devil in the Red Dress. LBJ, we didn't have a context. We didn't know what they had on him. We had no idea. And LBJ, it was so great today because that scene revealed it all. What was so great about that scene is that we learned what Eli's assignment was, what those people wanted him to do, but we still don't know why they wanted him to do it. They didn't reveal their cards, so they remained completely in power in this relationship. And that was just something to behold, LBJ, to watch Eli completely be the prey in this situation. And it was so good because I love the way they started the whole episode. Sandra, when she was giving her opening speech at the university, what was she talking about, LBJ? She was talking about who was the most vulnerable in a population. And she said people tend to think, and the common language around this is that it's the smallest prey. But guess what? It's not. It's the predator that is the most vulnerable in a context because it's that predator relies on everything else to survive. You take away something from that predator's context, it can't live anymore. So I just thought it was so profound, LBJ, how they started the episode with a discussion about power and a discussion about, reliance coming out of Sandra's mouth, a person who would ultimately perish at the hands of this entire situation, basically at the hands of power once removed. Right?
Yeah, I exactly. I think that it was perfect foreshadowing when you look at the literary elements of writing and then script writing. That was pure foreshadowing at its best, and we had an opportunity to really see that entire foreshadowing come to pass as we saw this episode unfold. Remember, we started, as I said earlier, 53 days prior to the election, and then I slowly but surely up to election night, then to present day. I want to also point out that his relationship with Sandra Titi was very, very volatile to him. I mean, it made Rowan volatile. We got to see sides of Rowan Pope, of Eli Pope, that we've never seen before. When have we ever seen Eli Rowan Papa Power Pope that vulnerable to the point where he hugged Olivia? Did you notice the moment in the show where he hugged Olivia?
LBJ, listen, you have gone to the right scene with this here thing because LBJ, here's what I have to say about that scene. You want to talk about foreshadowing? You want to talk about, us seeing a side of Eli Rowan Pope that we have never seen before? And you want to talk about us seeing Olivia in a way that we don't see her often, right? That scene was everything. It was like all of these different paradigm shifts. So that scene was it was Olivia coming to her father right after she found out that Melly was sleeping with Marcus.
Exactly.
Right? And she comes to her father for advice. This is her coming to her father for advice. And it was not her coming to him for advice about how to kill somebody. It wasn't her coming to advice about how to fix an election or anything like that. She just really needed some advice. And she came to her father as that sounding board. So those are those rare moments where we see the two of them actually interacting like parent and child. But the moment was fleeting, LBJ. It was fleeting.
It was a fleeting moment. And I will have to say, though, we have to pay close attention to what Rowan said, what Eli Rowan, Papa Power Pope, said to Olivia in that moment. He said to her, love is a privilege, Olivia. Love is reserved for the visitor. But I raised a warrior. Keep your eyes on the prize, baby. Keep your eyes on the prize. Everyone that you know is weak. And he had to give her that speech, but I felt like he was talking to the man in the mirror because Olivia was looking at him like, what are you talking about? I didn't come here to talk about love. I came to talk about, like, just give me some straight up daddy advice. Like, music, one of the good records, a good bottle of the wine that you provide, and just give me some advice. He actually was talking to, again, bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh, and he was having one of those introspective conversations aloud, and Olivia was the recipient of that. And I think that hug in that moment symbolized him really coming to himself and saying, gosh, dude, get this together so that you don't lose it all.
Yeah, and you know what? And Mrs. Creole Davis calls it out in the chat. Olivia softened to Papa Pope's hug. So it was him extending all that emotion that you just talked about, LBJ. And we actually got to watch Olivia accept it. And again, with these two, you got to catch it when you can, because they only have these little moments where they connect in what could potentially even be a genuine way.
Yes. Now, LBJ, Dan needs me to also go back. Dan Blakemore says that the quote really encapsulates it all. The quote that really encapsulated it all was when Daddy Pope told Liv, everything and everyone you love is a weakness. That's what it was. Thanks, Dan, for that.
Thank you, Dan. He said love is a privilege, LBJ. and everything and everyone oh my goodness, is a weakness. It was so good. And LBJ, what makes that particular statement so good is that he was rushing off to work because of two things that he loves. Number one, Sandra, and number two, dinosaur bones. He loves them. He can't get enough. LBJ, every time we turn around, he over in the corner playing with some bones. Uh-oh, LBJ got his bones. Oh, guys, every time we turn around, where is he? He's over in the lab. He's over in the dining room.
I just love blocks. I just love bricks. Can you imagine the power that blocks and bricks have? These are historic bricks. Do you know what these bricks and these blocks represent? This represents the dung of the Triceratops Rex. Do you know what it takes to collect dung this size? Dung this size never existed before before time, but here we are in 2017, holding the power of dung in our hands. You know what it takes to explain. He would just go off on some random rant about the power of dung being found on some dinosaur dig. So that was my Smithsonian moment for the night.
That was so good. Please don't put those blocks away because I feel we may need them again later in these episodes. And what we have to remember is that for this particular scene, Eli had not yet revealed that this whole thing was a plot, right?
Right.
This happened in the beginning of the episode. So when he is there saying, Olivia, I don't have time to talk with you, girlfriend. I've got to get to my bones and to my woman. He is genuinely excited, LBJ. He's excited about those two things. And it's so interesting. He's saying out of his mouth, the things you love make you vulnerable. Meanwhile, he can't get out the door fast enough because he's about to have a super awesome day. So he thought, right? And so LBJ, that scene was so full of paradigm shifts. It was so full of foreshadowing. It was literally probably a minute and a half long, 2 minutes long, but it told us so much about these characters and where this show is going.
You know where else there was a paradigm shift in this episode? The paradigm shift for me also came in. It really wasn't a paradigm shift. It was a revelation. Okay, Here was the revelation. Here's the revelation. You know what this is?
It seems familiar.
You know, does anybody know what this is?
LBJ, I think there's something. Look, it's everywhere. And LBJ, it is everywhere.
This is a bottle of Pope nectar, okay?
It is the nectar, and it is strong.
Just as the daughter has the nectar, the father has the nectar too. Did you see how Papa Pope made Sandra Tedi's quiver? Her liver quiver when he had her. And he
big time
before the closet, and she said, "Ooh, it's still good."
It's still good. That's what she said, and he hadn't even done anything. LBJ, he had slightly put his hands on her face.
All he did was just touch her ever so subtly. And she probably just felt him exhale like out of his. She's like, ooh.
LBJ, because you know what's been happening. LBJ, for 40 years, she has been waking up in the middle of the night having flashbacks.
Thinking about dinosaur bones.
LBJ, every time she picks up a Tyrannosaurus Rex foot, you know what she's thinking about. She's like, you know who would love this Tyrannosaurus Rex foot? My man. LBJ, she's been harboring that for 40 years.
You know,
and that was another moment that was super relatable. You know, it was this character, and I am sad she's gone, and she's real gone.
No, she's like real gone. Like that's why she's Sandra Tedi. Like she was mummified like Nefertiti on the ground, and she was like put into the pyramid. So if you would like to see her, you will go to the Smithsonian and you will say, and here is where Sandra Tedi resides. So, it'll be a placard right there next to her and everything. Laid up like this, no neck or anything. Just
I fell in love with this character. I was loving her.
You were hoping that she would get like 3 more episodes this season.
I get a couple episodes? LBJ, she came and she went. But you know what? She had to go, LBJ. But we'll get to that. And so, LBJ, we've covered the first couple of scenes, and we were talking about now Eli, after he gets to the workplace, again, he's basically hopping and skipping. He's hopping and skipping, LBJ. He can't wait to get there. He gets there. They're playing with bones. Bones to the left of them. Bones to the right of them. LBJ, you get bones. You get bones. You get bones. He was in heaven with these bones. He's skipping all around, telling people, be careful now. Don't mess up those bones. He's in heaven, LBJ. And he spots the camera. And he realizes that he is in some sort of plot. And what all of us start to think is, if someone wanted to get his attention, if someone wanted him at their mercy, why would they go about it in this way? Why set him up in a situation where he's finding joy and then basically surveil him? Because you have to understand, at this point, we had no idea what was going on. So we are as confused as him about, why are you surveilling me? And so Eli Rowan Pope, knowing him, he doesn't wait too long to go and try to figure it out. The next scene we see him, he is pacing to and fro in his apartment because he's waiting for his guy to come over. Who's his guy? Mr. Investigator 2000. We don't know. What's his name? Nobody knows his name. But Investigator 2000
his name is like, I'm calling him New Goon because we don't know what his name is. I have it down. I was like, Rowan Pope's New Goon. I just called him New Goon in my Scandal wiki.
LBJ, and that's exactly what he is, because he is a goon, because he is so B613 in his reaction to Papa Pope. I mean, he is like calling him sir, calling him boss, following his orders without question, and it was so interesting to watch the two of them, because it was obvious that New Goon had some affection for him.
Absolutely.
Right? I immediately went to that whole, him being the boss and the power over these B613.
And the father, remember, he also becomes the father. Yeah.
Yes. And we watched that play out with New Goon, LBJ. And New Goon comes in and he spills all the beans he can find. He says this person, who's supposed to be the person who is funding Sandra's operation, Sandra has engaged him, by the way, at this point, to come and work with her on a Dinosaur Bones project.
Those bones.
And she says to him, hey, this whole Superfund Dinosaurs Bones project is going to be funded. It's funded by a benefactor. And so, of course, Eli sees the cameras. He sends New Goon. New Goon comes back and says Sandra's clean, but there is this person who's the benefactor doesn't exist. That's all we know. Now, LBJ, I know you loved Eli's reaction to this. His first reaction when he found out that he was being surveilled and something was going on, his first reaction was what, LBJ? Have you checked on Olivia? Right?
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Yes.
And so LBJ, Eli then goes over to check with Olivia. Now, he comes up with a ruse. He's like, oh, I'm here to get a record. Let me just really get a record from you because I super need it. But he's really in there, LBJ, checking the house for bugs.
Yep.
He's wondering, is she also being watched? Whatever this is she at risk? LBJ, once again, focusing on his weakness.
His daughter, Olivia, is a weakness for Eli Rowan, Papa Power Pope. And I mean, this man went through every single protocol possible to protect his weakness, to protect his love, to protect his daughter, Olivia, whom he is still well pleased. And I think that it bears some pause right there to really look at how he's continuing to really trying to protect Olivia in all of this while he's trying to be Grace under fire. We've never seen this guy scramble like this at all during this show. If anything, he's been the steady. We know that he can come in, he will rule, and he will set forth the protocol and the policies and the procedures as to how things should run for everything that is in his purview. Primarily, really, this entire show is in his purview because he is the one who sits at the top of the food chain. He is in command. That's what we've been used to this entire time. So never have we seen anybody come and knock him off his rocker like this and really hold something over his head. These people somehow have got something on him, and they've talked to someone who is close to him. Someone has turned into him. And I think that we need to shine the light on that. At some point tonight, we did see that it looked to be a former B613 or former son, potential son Papa Pope, who was working with this new crew with Devil in the Red Dress and Man with Gun. We saw Devil in the Red Dress make the comment to release Sandra Titi from the holding room, and she was released. And it looked as if Tom the Goon was sitting at the desk pushing a button. It looked like it. I don't want to say that it was him, but the likeness was there. I'll say that. So
LBJ, you're just blowing my mind right now. I did not see that was Tom. I just saw it as a random guy. Let's see what people in the chat think.
Yeah,
I don't think that was Tom, LBJ. I don't think that was Tom.
I said, it was the likeness. It was the likeness.
It was a similar robot.
Stephanie Beard agrees that it did look like Tom. Kat Harlem says Charlie is the Devil in the Red Dress contact.
Woo!
Remember Charlie? We've been saying this entire time. Watch Charlie. Watch Charlie.
Yes. And LBJ, I have to just call out Stephanie Beard's statement in the chat. She said, I just realized that the people that came to Eli because they heard he was the best. If B613 was a shadow organization, who could have passed on the information about Eli being so great?
In my
it's
comment.
exactly what you're talking about.
Who is the one that turned? Who was the one that said, I'm going to be the leak. I'm going to tell what's going on in inside the White House or inside of B613. And I'm going to be the one to let the public know, hey, there's a covert operation going on. If you really want something done, this is who you have to talk to.
Yes, LBJ, you are so right about that. And LBJ, before we get back into the meat of the episode, I have to just call out one little thing that was happening as like a little ancillary moment in this conversation, which was Olivia in the background. So Papa Pope had this ruse of like, go get this record, honey, when he was like checking out her apartment. And Olivia's in the background talking about, I just don't know why people don't like her. And he's like, people don't like who, honey?
Right.
She's like, Melly, they just don't like her. Even the city she's from, they just don't like her. And he's like, who doesn't like her? She said, people. Right. That was so good, LBJ. And I have to say, it was once again Shonda using her platform just to make sure our memories stay fresh about what has happened in this here world. So Shonda's very good. But LBJ, you're so right. I mean, this was such a pivotal moment, and this entire kind of way that we're looking at these characters now, it has completely shifted. And LBJ, this is when we then get to the scene you were just talking about before, when when Sandra's lip really got to that good quivering, LBJ, because he gets the record, goes back to the office. He's playing the record amongst the bones. Sandra comes in. He woos her with some wine from 40 years ago, and she's going down memory lane. LBJ. First he got her high on memories. Y'all know how y'all do. Okay, y'all know exactly what y'all be doing. Okay, because first he got her high on memories. LBJ. He's like, oh, don't you remember us? On in San Pedro or whatever he was saying. Okay,
it wasn't Sao Paulo. It was
something.
It was, oh gosh, I should have written it down.
Yeah,
I said I could remember.
Somebody remember in the chat.
But it was like remember we were on spring break pretty much. It was like a spring break.
It was a trip. And he's taking her down memory lane.
Buenos Aires. It was Buenos Aires.
Yes, thank you.
He said, "Remember Buenos Aires." He's like, "Oh, this is 40 years old." The wine that he presented to her.
Yes,
you remember? I remember. I always remember. We was in Buenos Aires, and we were standing there looking at, and she's just like, oh, just like
she's
melting like a styrofoam cup in a microwave.
That's exactly what she was doing. Because you know what had been laying dormant in her system for 40 years. It just for 40 years. For 40 years, LBJ.
It gets bottled up and then it just
LBJ, for 40 years, she had just been, that thing had been a slow burn. And there he was right in front of her. And so when he said, hey, I'm going to take your hand and lead you over to this closet. He didn't say it, but he did it with his eyes. And she followed him, LBJ. And she was about
like a dummy though.
Girl,
like a dummy.
That all I could. I was sitting there and I was yelling at her. I was like, "Girlfriend, don't go in the closet." I told her. I was screaming to her, "You'll never come out. He's the devil." LBJ, I knew something was going to go right in that closet. Did everybody else know? Oh, Mrs. Creole Davis said that the nectar fermented in her
Right.
system. LBJ,
Fermented
nectar. It was in her brain. She didn't hear me. It was in her ears too, because I was screaming out to her. She didn't hear me. I was like, girlfriend, you don't go in the closet with Eli Rowan Pope. They're in the closet now. And why the closet? Because Eli had already scoped the scene and he knew there were no cameras in there. And so as soon as he goes in the closet, we're now panning over to this conglomerate, to the guy to man with gun and devil in a red dress and man at computer station. And LBJ, and we're watching all of them watch Sandra and Eli. And they see them go into the closet. And man at computer station says, oh, we don't have any cameras in there. That was when I knew, Sandra, you in trouble, girl. Yeah. And so we watch Eli Rowan Pope confront her. And he says, what is happening? What's going on? Sandra basically says, I have no idea. They came. They threatened to kill me. I don't know what they want except for you. And she said, I didn't want to serve you up, but I certainly didn't want to die. That's basically what she said. And so Eli,
he believed her.
He believed her, LBJ. And he didn't waste any time. He walked himself right out of that closet, LBJ, went out into the middle of the Bone Laboratory, and he said, right around out to the universe. He said, hey, if you want to come talk to me, well, let's just talk. Let's not play these little games, people behind the camera. And LBJ, they weren't playing games. They came right out, LBJ. And what did you think when you saw these three people confronting Eli Rowan Pope in this moment?
Well, I really thought that what they were going to do is identify themselves and say, hello, we're representatives of said or like X organization, and we are here to do this for you. But what was shocking to me is that he sat down with them as if there was some familiarity with them. He didn't sit down and say, what's your name? What's your name? Devil in the Red Dress came out, remember, last week's episode in present day. And he knew who she was. But remember, we were working prior to last week's episode when we see this meeting. He knew who these people were. And he says, here you are. I thought that you were going to do this. I thought you were going to do that. But here you are. Don't you know I will kill you? I will have you. I will take your head off right here in front of me now. And he was just Big Willie all over that room. While Sandra Teedy was locked in the mummy closet before she was mummified. And then he's doing all this big talking, and then he's doing all this big talking to man in chair. Then man with gun says to Eli, he says, look, I knew that this was going to happen, and I knew that you weren't going to have it like we wanted it to be. So let me just make one thing straight. Pop! And then he pops man in chair in the head, brains go all over the wall.
All over that wall.
Now let's get to talking. And then Rowan sat down, and we again saw him back away from being in command. That was strike two for me. I was very surprised that he did that, but I felt like at that moment he was like, okay, they mean business, and I need to figure out how to re-strategize and come out on top. So he was thinking while they were talking during that moment.
Yes, LBJ, he was. And it was so crazy because we have watched Eli Rowan Pope mind go like this before, right? We know that he is always thinking, plotting, planning something.
Wait. I'm sorry. We have to shout out. We have to shout out Grace for the jokes in the live chat. She said, poor Sandra Teedy thought she was going to the closet thinking she was going to get a bone, and darn near caught a bullet.
LBJ and somebody, Kat Harlem got a good one too. She said Sandra TT her closest companion was her dog, so Papa Pope's touch was gold to her. She was just like, "Oh, this is so much better than Fido." Yes.
It's too much. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. It was a good one. I had to throw it in before the chat kept going up, scrolling up.
And LBJ, so we're watching him, as you were saying, his mind is just going. And normally what happens at the end of that is that Papa Pope has some kind of plot that puts him back on top. Or the other thing that happens is that the whole conversation that you were having with him, he actually orchestrated. And so you weren't even really having a conversation with him anyway. You were literally just going through a script that he wrote for you, and you didn't even know he wrote it. And so for him in this situation, it was different from what we've seen before. Usually we're watching him watch his own orchestrations play out. This time we were watching him try to think about how to get out of this situation.
Yes.
And so he asked them, he said, what do you want from me? I don't want to play these little games. Why would you bring me here and put me in a cage and just watch me? Like, what are you doing? And they said, we want Melly Pope in the White House. And he tries to figure out why, what's the end game here. We got none of that. So we still don't know, and this is going to be a good conversation in the chat. We still don't know who hired those guys. What are they going to get out of this? I'm wondering what people are already speculating. And so he makes a deal with them. Eli Rowan Pope makes a deal with them. He said, okay, I'll put Melly in the White House as long as Sandra gets to walk free. And LBJ, that's where the conversation ends. They leave men in chairs, bloody, busted out head right there.
He's a mummy too. He's a mummy.
He's a mummy too.
Wait, he's the first mummy.
Yeah, he
became the first mummy.
He's tootin' chair. I was trying to do something. I was trying to do something with Tutankhamun.
Man in tootin' chair.
Yeah, LBJ. Man in chair was man now mummified, and they left him there. They didn't go in, get his wallet, let me get his cell phone. No, they left him sitting right there, and they went on about. And who left? Lady, the devil in the red dress, and man with gun.
Man with gun, yep.
Man with gun. And so then the next scene we see LBJ, and I love this scene. This was Sandra and Papa Pope back at his house. And she says to him, who was that man that I saw back there? And he said to her,
he said, ahead. Which one? Which one? Are you talking about man in chair or man with gun? And
she said, no.
And she says, no. The other one, the one that you were on the other side of that desk, I've never seen him before. Where is the Eli I knew who gave me the 40-year-old wine and made me feel the feelings?
Right. Who was that? That wasn't my nectar supplier. Who was that? LBJ, she was very taken aback by his attitude and that gun in her chin and in her temple. She was very confused.
She was very confused, but what I loved about that moment, again, we got to see the inner workings of Eli Rowan, Papa Power Pope.
Yes.
We've never ever seen this. We've always seen him like a hen brooding over his chick Olivia. We've always seen him in that position, but we've never seen anyone who could stand up to him and really get him to make moves or get him to respond in an honest way. We've never seen that, and we might not ever see it again because Sandra Titi's gone.
And LBJ, let me tell you, Sandra Titi's gone, but he got it in while he could, didn't he, LBJ?
Oh, certainly, because the morning after, the morning after, after the morning after,
LBJ.
After the night before.
We see Papa Pope, and listen, if we've ever seen nectar, it was all over. Splashing on Papa Pope's face. He is smiling out into the heavens, LBJ, because he has literally just had something that he has also been pining for 40 years. One of the things he had said in that conversation the night before they had sex, when she was confronting him and saying, I didn't know who that was that I saw there in that closet.
He had her locks all like this all over her face. She woke up, she was like this. Her locks were everywhere, just like all over her face.
LBJ, please do not use a USB cord. I forbid it. It's so good. LBJ, she was swept away. Did you see her smiling in her sleep? Yeah. Woke up just to get a kiss, went back to sleep. LBJ, they had a very full night. We know that. And so LBJ, we see him smiling. He is in heaven. And guess what? It's back to business. Eli Rowan Pope, the stakes are higher than they've ever been. Because for the last 40 years, he's had his ex-wife as a weakness. He's had Olivia as a weakness. But now Sandra coming back, the game is real. Okay, Sandra's at risk. And so he's there talking to New Goon. And he's like, New Goon, listen, we got to get Melly elected. What's the plan? New Goon is whack. He's coming up with whack ideas and he's taking too long. Papa Pope is like, your slothful pace is disgusting to me. You're not helping me. I hate you. You're horrible. Just these disparaging remarks. And for the New Goon, he's loving it. He's programmed to feed on that. He's motivated by all this negative reinforcement. And so he starts throwing out other ideas, and he comes up with the idea of fixing, oh gosh, here we go, vicious cycle, the voting machines.
Yes.
And LBJ, what happened in your mind and in your heart when this happened, when the voting machine idea came up?
So when the voting machine idea came up, I totally thought that this was going to be, oh gosh, I'm losing the name of the operation, but it was going to be Fitz all over again. But this time it was going to, I thought everyone was going to buy into it. I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to do this all over again. It's going to be electing Fitz, and it's going to be electing this guy, it's going to be electing Melly illegally, and Olivia is not going to be for it. Because remember, we saw Olivia say, I want to win this fair and square. And this was supposed to be like the redemption of the time for the negative time that Olivia invested in Defiance. That's what the name of it is.
Defiance, yes.
And this was her opportunity to redeem all of the darkness that she invested in, all those dark seeds that she sowed during Defiance. And so this was her white hat moment. And this was going to put her back on the top of Queen of the White Hats. And her dad came in and said, nope, you're going to be soiled, and you won't know that you're going to be soiled. I know that you want this to be fair and square, but this is not going to work out how it needs to work out. So just follow my lead on the low, and I'll let you know that you follow my lead after you win. So I thought it was going to be Defiance all over again. I thought there were going to be more people involved than the small number we did see involved. That's what I thought. How about you?
LBJ and Grace in the chat said Defiance is the Fitz fiasco. That's exactly, and thank you, Kat Harlem. I couldn't think of it either. It's Defiance.
Yep, Defiance.
I was sitting here like, what was it? And so LBJ, we all had a moment of heartbreak, I think, because we knew at this point, because we had been in present day, we knew in present day that Olivia had said on more than one occasion she wanted to win an election legitimately. And so we're all wanting that for her, right? And when we go back in the past, we're already heartbroken because we know what's going to happen. But so when we watch him go and about to play the same old cards that set them all down this path to begin with, it breaks our hearts a little bit. And unfortunately, or maybe it's fortunately, Olivia uncovered the plot. And so Huck found it. He realized that New Goon had, rigged the election machines, because guess what? New Goon did it using a B613 protocol. So he rigged them the way they all rig them. Okay. And so Huck found it, and he said to him, and so Huck revealed it to Olivia, and Olivia comes, and again, she doesn't call. You know how they do. She doesn't text message. She traipses herself right over to his house, looks him in his eye.
Wearing a cape and everything.
Wearing a cape. And listen, the jig is up. You are pregnant. Okay? You're quite pregnant. Okay? LBJ, these shows, they're not even trying anymore. You know, there's another show. You guys watch that show, New Girl? Listen, Zoe, the person who plays the lead character, pregnant. And they're just going about the show like it's not happening. It's hilarious. Anyway, so she's clearly pregnant there in her poncho, her pregnancy poncho. And she confronts him, and he says, LBJ, she says to him, how could you do this? You know I wanted a legitimately won election. How could you do this? Why would you do this? And don't think you're going to get away with it, because Huck already undid what New Goon did. And he says to her, you're going to lose. And Olivia, of course, well, she takes it very personally. And LBJ, we see Olivia do a lip quiver.
Wait, what did Olivia do?
Well, she took it very personally, very. And LBJ, she was very taken aback at his words. And LBJ, her heart was broken. We have seen Olivia's lip quiver in anger. We have seen Olivia's lip quiver in lust, nectar-filled lip quiver. LBJ, today we saw her lip quiver with, I don't have my father's confidence. her heart was broken, LBJ. She leaves the house, and the last thing she says to him is, "Don't you have faith in me?" And we're all, LBJ, we're broken. We're broken in that moment because we know that part of the reason he's doing this is for her. He's trying to protect her. The very first thing he did when all of this started to play out was go to her house, ask Nugoon to go and check on her, and come to find out Nugoon is always monitoring her, So, LBJ, that was a tough thing to watch.
It was a very tough thing to watch. And after all of this transpired, what was to come next was a series of unfortunate events for the remainder of the season, if you ask me. This episode took a turn like no other. So what we began to see was who shot Vargas. We now know who shot Vargas. And for the longest, all of us here at the Scandal Recap, we were saying that we need to check Papa Pope. We need to check Jake. We need to
Mama
check
Pope.
Mama
Even
Pope.
I threw Mama Pope.
Yeah, we need to check Mama
People
Pope.
threw that out.
And we need to check Charlie. We need to check all these names. I will say shout out to all of you who said we need to check Papa Pope, because we believed at one point
several people in the chat said that
ideal that he was the one responsible. What I did not know is that we would get a chance to see how it all went down the way that it went down. And shout out to Papa Pope for being about that life. Like, I knew that he was about that life, but I know he was about that life. Like, we knew that he was capable of strategizing and calling the shots, but I never thought that at this status of B613ness that he reached, that Papa Pope would be the one actually putting his hand to the plow and making things happen. But it goes to show you the things that he would do for love. We got to see what that love, what that weakness was, how it caused him to take the courses of action, if you will. And this episode, after Papa Pope devises this entire plan based on the threats that these people gave him, take out Sandra, his love, his grad school boo, his boo in the struggle of finding the bones. They might have marched and raised their fists, but they could dust off some dinosaur bones as well. He was going to protect his heart. This wasn't Maya Pope that he was protecting. No. That's his baby's mama. This is the one who had his heart originally. She's the one who still called him Eli, and he felt feelings for her when she called him Eli. He was doing this to protect his love, his weakness. And what did he do? Eli,
and LBJ, he tried to get her out of there. So it was before we even got to election night. He knew that things might go awry. Huck had foiled plan A.
Yeah.
Right. Huck had foiled plan A by finding out the machines were rigged. And he said, you know what? People don't like Melly. We just talked about that. This is not going to go well. And he says to Sandy, cut to him in the kitchen talking about, you're going to Zanzibar. And she said, I'm not going to Zanzibar. And he said, listen, you'll love Zanzibar. There's sand and there's beaches and it's so super great. And she's like, listen, I'm not going to Zanzibar. If you're going to protect me, and this is again when I'm now falling in love with Sandra TT, she says, if you're going to protect me, then you protect me here. What? LBJ, she drew that line. I love that so much. Now, had it been me, I'd have been on the next flight to Zanzibar. I'd have been gone. You wouldn't have seen me no more. They'd have been like, what happened to that character, Janiyah? Oh, girl, she went to Zanzibar.
No,
because I wouldn't have been hanging around.
No, because as Mrs. Creole Davis says, Dino Nectar would have kept you there, because that's what she was waiting on. Dino Nectar. It was Dino Nectar, I'm telling you. And so she had no clue.
It was 40 years of winning Dino Nectar.
Absolutely. Remember Nelly Professor, the Granny and Nelly Professor kept going, just wanting and wanting and wanting. Woo! I make your head pop off. That's what this was. But remember, she also did not know the covertness of what he was dabbling in. Like, what is this? What is this? Because remember, in that scene, she's like, what is this? Some CIA stuff? He's like, I work for the government. She said, I know. He said, you don't know. And she doesn't.
Oh.
She did not have a clue. And she wasn't taking the hints. She wasn't catching the hints. And he could not say this to her because remember, she's not in darkness like Maya is in darkness, or Olivia is in darkness. This was light for him. This is someone even said it in the chat. This was his opportunity to stand in the sun. He wanted to stand in the sun with Sandra, and he was going to potentially get that opportunity because he was going to follow through with this to get Melly in the Oval.
Yes.
What he did, for those of you that are watching, so some of you all watch our show before you go back and watch Scandal. So this is what you're going to see. Here's your big setup for what you're going to see.
This is the big
better
spoiler
when you watch it.
Yeah.
But what you're going to see is that Papa Pope devises this plan. He gives the playbook to Papa Pope's new goon. New goon takes the playbook and he reads it. Okay, I got it. Thanks so much. Let's commence. Papa Pope is like, you wait for me to give you the call. You get set up. Do all this stuff. What do we see? We see then Vargas. We see everything that we saw at the top of season 6, episode 1. We see everyone getting ready for the returns rolling in. Melly's in place. Vargas is in place. Then we see the Vargas camp waiting backstage at Fairmount Park in Washington. No, in Philly. And is it Philly or Delaware they were? I think they were in Delaware.
Philly.
They're waiting at Fairmount Park in Philly. And they're backstage waiting to go out because he has just been declared the winner of this presidential election. He's declared this winner. He kisses his wife backstage. It's like, we're going to do it. Then Vargas walks on stage and he begins to give this acceptance speech. What I loved about that acceptance speech is that it took me back to November 4th, 2008, when Barack Obama won presidency.
That's exactly what it did.
You saw these minorities in the audience. You saw the real.
He talked in Spanish from the podium.
He spoke in Spanish, and the people were just they were having Spanish revival out there. It was like
I wanted to vote for him.
Gloria a Dios, gloria a Dios.
Oh my gosh.
It was full Spanish revival out there. People were bawling, crying.
So good. I was crying.
It was the Barack Obama moment, but in Scandal world, and we see all
and
this.
LBJ,
hope for the first time. Yes.
And you see hope for the first time. And where else did we see that hope? We saw it in Eli's eyes, LBJ. We saw it in Eli's eyes. Now, one point that we forgot to make is that it was not Eli's idea to go and kill Vargas. It was the lady in the red dress.
Absolutely.
It was after, the whole plan of rigging the election via the voting booths after that went awry.
Yep.
That the devil in the blue dress and man with a gun told him he was going to go kill Vargas. He needs to
die. Yeah, that he needs to die. And when he said that, Rowan was like, but wait, that's going to make Cyrus being president. And she said to him, oh, come on. You can do it. You can figure it out, can't you? You're smart enough.
You can do it, Coolio.
Come on, Coolio. You're so Coolio. You can do it, Coolio. Come on.
Can you believe she was calling him that?
That whole Coolio thing was hilarious to me.
It was too much.
Wait,
so good.
It was Micah. What's Micah's name? But Micah in the chat was just like, yeah, that whole Coolio biz, man, Coolio was not cool. So
it was not cool.
But it so played into her character. It was good characterization for her to do that.
Is good. Yeah.
So fast forward to election night, acceptance speech in Fairmount Park. The Vargas family is backstage preparing to go on and do this. Melly and Olivia are back in the bathtub drinking all kinds of champagne while the folks are in the front room watching the acceptance speech about to come up. Then we see Jake get a text on his phone. And then what happens when Jake gets text on his phone? Nobody cares about Vanessa. We got a chance to see nobody cares about Vanessa again.
Oh gosh, there
cares.
She was looking stuck on stupid yet again. Vanessa, girlfriend, help me. Help me help you, Vanessa.
I'll help you. Nobody cares about we see it over and over again. We see everything start to play again, but then we get to see these additional moments that have been now inserted inside of all of that led up to the assassination of the president-elect. And what had happened was Rowan Pope goes backstage and he goes to the tunnel that's up under the stage at the park. And what does he do? They give the all Secret Service gives the all clear that they can proceed with moving Vargas onto the stage. As he's about to get, Secret Service gives the all clear. Rowan Pope turns around. Rowan Pope grabs Homeboy. He injects the sleeper serum inside of him. He takes him down with the sleeper serum. He drags him into the tunnel. He gets access. He locks the tunnel, goes into the tunnel, and now Rowan Pope is under the stage. There is a little inset inside of the stage that actually looks up to the podium, and you can see the president-elect standing right there. Rowan Pope holds a gun in his hand with a silencer on it, and he's looking up at Vargas, and he's like,
I can't, LBJ, I can't, for you to even recount this scene is ripping me into shreds.
And Rowan is doing all this. You can see him doing all this introspective debating. Like, he's like, I care about Sandra TD. I care about Olivia. I care about all these things, but I also care about this guy because this is a good guy I'm about to take out.
This is a good guy. And LBJ, Mrs. Creole Davis says, Papa Pope has a heart. He didn't want to do it. We saw that in his eyes. And LBJ, I want to just dissect this for just a second. I know we're out of time. I want to dissect this for just a second because LBJ, what were the things that were what was going through Papa Pope's mind? You know, part of it is, yes, everything that I do hold dear, my three things that I hold dear, my bones, Sandra, and Olivia, all at risk, right? But the other thing that's happening, LBJ, is that he's there not to execute his own plan. And so it was not just him looking at Vargas as someone who just didn't need to die. He was looking at this as him being somebody else's puppet. And he knew as soon as he pulled that trigger, he was officially executing somebody else's plan.
That's
and
good.
To your point, LBJ, he's been the one directing people to execute plans.
Yes,
and he's there, hutched under the stage, just so much at the mercy of these people. And LBJ,
he became the executioner. The visionary became the executioner. And that happens when you're short-staffed, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I know what that life is like. Okay?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to get in the weeds.
Sometimes and this man was literally in the weeds under the stage. Like, he was in the weeds under the stage.
And there's one more point. And there's one more point, LBJ, about what I believe was going through Eli Rowan Pope's head. And it is that he was also thinking about the Republic. Because you recall way early on in the episode when Eli was talking about the things that soldiers are allowed to love, the only thing they're allowed to love is this country. Everything else is a weakness. And so LBJ, I thought about that. It was that he was about to kill someone who might have been good for the Republic. And at the end of the day, they all of the goons, all of B613, they're always doing what they think is best for the Republic.
You're so true, Janiyah. It's almost as if you are sending us an encrypted message. Are you concerned about the Republic?
And hashtag no comment, because I don't need B613 coming in here. I have a lot to do tomorrow. Okay? I do not have time to be detained. Okay? Okay?
You don't have time to be 752 and in the sewer wondering what's going to be happening.
I have to go grocery shopping tomorrow after work. I do not have time for that.
Sure.
So,
sure, Janiyah, sure. If you have on black again next week, we'll know something.
Why did you just call me out like that, LBJ? LBJ says I should stop wearing black every week. But anyway, you're a jerk.
It was an inside joke. You didn't have to let the people know. You didn't have to let them know it was a joke.
LBJ told me I should stop wearing black. I love it.
So back to Eli Rowan Pope in the sewer.
Back to Eli, yes. So he's in the sewers.
He's in the sewer.
He's looking up. He's looking up,
like looking up, like, okay, I can take the shot. I can't take the shot. I can take the shot. And then the man finishes his speech. He walks back to get his family, and then it's like all hope is lost. Rowan is like, dang it, I missed it. Maybe I should call my goon and have my goon take out the shot, and then make everything good. No, what happens? The man goes back and grabs his version of Michelle Obama and the
Yes.
kids, and they come walking forward up to the front with Cyrus Bean and Cyrus's husband and the baby girl, and then we see Cyrus take the step away. We still saw that again. We saw Cyrus take the step away from Vargas, and then we see Eli take the shot. We see him get shot once in the knee, that takes him down once, and then he shot through the chest. Did you all see the shot that went through his chest?
Then, out his back.
Out the back, like you saw the stuff go through. And then you saw the stuff fly out. Then he looks down, and as Vargas is coming down, he looks through the hole, and you see this eerie look in his eyes, and he locks eyes with Rowan Pope. And then he sees that it's Rowan taking him out. Rowan goes for the kill shot, and he goes for the shot right there in his head, and that's what takes him out. Brains out on the stage, end of the man's life. And then Goon shoots about 3 or 4 shots from like yards and yards and yards and blocks away, leaves it down on the 5th floor of this building, and then Secret Service police are all everywhere looking for who did.
And Eli Rowan Pope, who has beat down a security guard already and taken his walkie-talkie, says over the walkie-talkie that the shots came from where New Goon was set up.
Exactly.
And so he immediately threw them off the trail. Now, there's one thing that has to be said about this. If this whole murder had played out on Rosewood, have you guys seen that Morris Chestnut show? LBJ, Morris Chestnut would have known that those shots. Morris Chestnut would have known.
Not sure about that.
That's a top-notch show that I've seen 3 episodes of.
Wait, who by the way, you know who's on that show? One of our old classmates from our award show. His sister, remember?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna act like I watch the show faithfully. I don't.
We'll talk offline about it, but
okay. No, I don't want. It's like it's on while I'm doing dishes. But the point is.
So it definitely deserves this.
One day I'll be able to advocate for that show when I really watch it. But I do know this, LBJ. Rosewood, he gets into the weeds. And he would have known that those shots came from below. I mean, LBJ, obviously those shots were not shot. For anyone who's watched any show about CSI, Law and Order, they know what direction the shots came from. I mean, obviously these shots were not from the garage 100 million miles away. So there's something more fishy here to be revealed as we move throughout this. I mean, someone should have figured out where those shots came from.
Yeah. So what happens though after the shots are fired? Rowan makes his exit after making the call where the shots came from. So Rowan exits the tunnel. He exits the tunnel. There's an officer. Right. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm Secret Service officer." He said, "We'll see about that. Let me see your badge." And so he reaches for the badge. Pop, New Goon takes police officer out.
Kills
Pop
him.
Pope is like, "You're late." He's like, "I'm sorry, the place is scrambling with, it's crawling with police." He said, "Okay, fine." He said, "Here's your next mission." Gives him the next mission. We don't know what's in this next mission. All we do know is Papa Pope picks up the phone. He calls Jennifer Fields. Jennifer Fields makes the call that that Cyrus Bean was responsible for this because this is now a part of the plan to get Cyrus Bean in jail. We talked about that, and Cyrus Bean has to go to jail. Jennifer Fields makes the call. And it takes us to almost the present day.
That's right.
Goes back to this fly office with the bones and the blocks and the dung. And then he's with Sandra Teedy and he's like, "Hey, okay, man with a gun and devil in the red dress. I am ready to make good. We've made good on everything.
Yeah, I'm done here.
Yep, I'm done. We're done. Let's wrap this whole thing up." What does he do? He says, "Oh, no, we're not done." No, he's like, no, we're done. We're done.
Yeah.
No, we're not done because you're great. Any dummy would not walk away from a great person like you. And we now know who has your heart, and Sandra has your heart. So you're going to be our puppet until we, and we're going to hold Sandra as the bait.
They said we need a strong back.
Yes. Lead me into this. Lead me into this. This is good.
Yeah, they said, so there they are. Cyrus is like, "Let me get my dinosaur boo and get out of here, okay? I'm through with you guys." And they're like, no, you're not going anywhere. Why would we let you go? You're super great. You're super helpful to us. We still need you. There's much more work for us to do. There's lots to be done, and we need a strong back to do it. Yeah. and LBJ. That was when.
Oh, come on. Wait. Yes. Let me do it. Come on.
What? That was when the Papa Pope that we know and love finally returned to this show, LBJ. Let me lead you in. Why would we let you go? We need a strong back for the work that needs to be done.
You need what you mean you need what do you mean you need a strong back? A strong back. A strong back. Do you mean a buck? Do you mean a strong strapping man? Don't you know that we have the National Museum of African American History right here on the mall that belongs to the Smithsonian? What you want me to do? You want me to shine your shoes? No, he said you want me to work your fields? You want me to shine your shoes? You want me to pick your cotton? You people always think that you're better than us. I will not be your strong back. I am finished here. And then what did he do? He said, pop!
And who got shot, LBJ?
Sandra T. That's when she became a mummy, right there.
Right there, she got mummified, LBJ.
Mummified with one bullet.
He turned the bone studio into an embalming room. Took her right out, LBJ. Because he said, you know what? This is a weakness. Love is a weakness. Sandra is a weakness. The future I've been planning with her is a weakness. The night I wanted to spend with her tonight, that is a weakness. And LBJ, he did exactly what he has trained his daughter to do, what he has trained all of his goons to do. He had to let the weakness go, LBJ. And he shot her. Not in the heart, in the stomach, in her kidney. He shot her right in her head. Now, in some ways, that was a merciful death. Because that's an instant death, right? Like I think a shot through the head is instant. And so that was actually a merciful death. But it was also, LBJ, for us, complete heartbreak. Because somehow through all of this, we want redemption for this character. Papa Pope ain't never done right by us. But we still want redemption for him. So it was hard, LBJ, but that's exactly what he did. He killed her, and he did that as a show of, listen, no, I am not your puppet. And then they showed him, no, we have another card that we can play. And they literally just showed him a picture of Olivia on Devil in a Red Dress's phone. And it was basically...
And they called that, what, butterfly cam or something like that?
They called it the butterfly cam, LBJ. And it was basically them surveilling Olivia. And she said, not only are we watching her, we have someone who is near her who can literally shoot her and kill her 100% of the day at any given time. And so just as Papa Pope had shot what he thought was the identified weakness, LBJ, they pulled out another. And so he is sitting there at their mercy. They leave the room with all of the cards in their hands. The next scene that we see is a scene that we all remember from a prior episode, and it was Melly confronting Papa Pope about his involvement in all this. And we watch him lie to Olivia's face. Listen, I had nothing to do with this. And he nudges her towards Cyrus Bean, which is him again being a puppet. Yep. LBJ, the thing that steals his life force is being a puppet, but he's doing it to protect her. And she walks out full of venom and anger, not knowing that, and clearly in a poncho. And she walks out in her pregnancy poncho, LBJ, full of anger and a baby. And she leaves, not knowing that everything he's doing is for her. And that was how the scene ended, with him reminding his daughter that it is survival of the fittest in these streets. And that's how it ended, LBJ.
Yeah, survival. It was almost like it was his last words to her, just in case something happened. If he didn't decide, if he chose against Olivia, she's got to survive.
Yes, that's exactly what it was, LBJ.
This was an episode to remember. This was wait, look, this was a strong back. This was an affair to remember.
I'll dance for you. I'll dance for you. I'll dance for you. Yeah, it was an affair to remember, LBJ.
Oh man,
so good. This was so much fun, LBJ. The chat is so good tonight.
And it's still going. Like Plow Turner's in here now making Get Out references.
Oh my gosh.
Marva, Stephanie, everyone is still in here alive and well with us. I mean, live and in living color with us all night long. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Any predictions or we've been giving takeaways all episode.
We really have. LBJ, I will just say that there is one sentence that I wrote and I circled it 100,000 times. And it was that love is a privilege reserved for the victor. And I just want to keep that with us, keep that close in our hearts, because at the end of the day, this show is going to have to wrap at some point, and we're going to see who the victor is. That's the question. And at this point, LBJ, who knows? We still don't know who this conglomerate is and why they're doing what they're doing. So let's just remember, eventually we're going to find out who the victor is. And I love that now love is something that's intertwined with victory. So somehow love is going to prevail here. Well, that's my takeaway, LBJ.
That was a very good takeaway. My takeaway is directly related to Papa Pope. Tonight's episode is what's called Extinction. And when we saw the life of something, and then just like when something is put on the list of extinction, we saw the slow decline to extinction. And what we saw become extinct was something that mattered to him, his weakness, his love. And I think that we saw life breathed back into love in his life. But then as that life force began to leave, it began to become extinct. And when something becomes extinct, it no longer exists. And I think at some point, Papa Pope is going to, how they say, if you get rid of something and you bring it back, you get rid of a bad habit, or you get rid of something that's dark and bad in your life, if you pick it back up, it can come back 7 times worse. I think that what's going to happen is, because this part now of Papa Pope's life is extinct, what's going to happen in the future, future episodes to come, is that he's going to be 7 times worse when it comes to the cold-blooded ways of operation that he is able to do. And he's going to grow a force that's bigger than we've ever seen. And he's going to find every way to come out on top, because he's got nothing to lose at this point. The only he has to lose is Olivia. But his reference to survival of the fittest so many times at the end of the episode led me to believe that he is going to have a moment where all bets are off for everyone if it needs to get there.
Yes, LBJ, you are so right. Again, the wonderful theater term you gave us earlier, it's foreshadowing, LBJ. It is foreshadowing. This has been so much fun tonight, LBJ. I wish that we could talk for 2 more hours and peel back these onions, because those scenes, some of them just need further dissection. But we are out of time.
They're so way out of time and overtime. But listen, if you guys watch the show, put something up in the comments below.
Send us a note, please.
Yeah, that you might have missed, and we'll, of course, I'll write back and I'll respond on Jania's behalf as well. I normally will give you whatever she said.
LBJ reads the comments, and then he'll text me and get my thoughts, and then he'll put it in there, because I'm too whack. No, 2017 is my year. Yeah.
Okay. Thank y'all so much for hanging out
so
with
much fun, everybody.
We will see you next week.
Thank you so much for coming.
Tell a friend about the Scandal recap. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.